There, it's sort of, if I move everything this way, then it's sort of on camera. No matter how many times I set up the camera and then come down and don't change anything, it's not in the right place. I don't know how that happens. But it's all just part of the relaxation, I guess. The relaxation of relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons. Welcome to the Friday edition of, yeah. Did you ever have one of those days, where you just kind of would like to start over maybe later in the morning with a little more sleep involved? That's kind of been every day this week. So I need to complain and whine. I've been doing a lot of complaining and whining this week because most days have been that kind of day. We're having a lot of work done on the house, and that means there's a lot of disruption all during the day. And this morning, the construction people decided that it would be a really good idea to start working before sunrise. I don't know why, because they're working outside, and it was kind of dark, because the sun hadn't come up yet. But yeah, just woke up a little earlier than I expected, like an hour. So if I just sort of like, it won't be for very long, because either I'll startle and wake up again, or I'll really fall asleep and then tumble onto the floor. I'm sitting on a stool here, so I will try my best to not doze off, because that could be, it could be a shock. But it's one of those days. So we're going to be relaxing now, because there's nothing better when it's one of those days than to try to relax, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I am finishing up the Imp family. Once upon a time, when I started this, I said there were 6, and I found out that there's actually 7, so I did a revisionist history sort of thing and said, well, I need to paint 6, because one was already painted. So that's my cover story, is that I was painting 6. So if you look back at previous episodes and I talk about that number, I was right, but wrong at the same time. This was, which one? This was the very first one that was done. Nicole did this one, so it's the best one. Yeah, kind of really nice, very impy. And then I painted a bunch and went with some lighter colors. And because who isn't on right now, who plays 9s at Tabaxi Bard, likes pink, I did one in pink. I think that's okay. Some of these look pretty similar, because I think it's a family, not just friends. I think these imps are all part of a family. Anyway, those 4 are completed. These 2 are base coated and are ready to be washed. And after they are washed, I paint the horns and the teeth and the beady little yellow eyes. This one is yet to be base coated. And I'm going to start by base coating this one, and then wash them, the 3. What I mean by wash is not, oh my, really? Can't really tell. It looks like I totally missed a spot. Maybe it's just a reflection. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So what happens is that these are gray, which are the color of the primer, and I picked it up and it was like superimposed. One of the horns was superimposed on the tail back. And so when I looked at it and didn't quite focus, it looked like I'd missed a spot on the tail, but I had. So I'm going to base coat this one, then come back and wash these two, and then paint the little spikes and horns and teeth. That's always kind of interesting. And then wash the horns with a dark black wash. So you all know that when I say I'm going to wash them, that doesn't mean I'm going to go take them somewhere and, put detergent on them or soak them up or anything like that. It means that I'm going to use wash, and that is a very thin paint, a lot of solvent and not very much pigment that darkens things up. So just so you can sort of see what I mean, you can see how this looks kind of flat, not very interesting, but when you wash it, it gets into the crevices and the wings and highlights the body textures, that kind of thing, especially on the back. Okay. Tones down the colors a little bit so they're not quite so bright. So that's what I'll be doing with these guys after I finish this one. And I'm not using up the time. Usually, like on Sub Wednesday, if you were here for Sub Wednesday, Submarine Wednesday, I was able to fill an entire half hour of monologue about something. I can't remember what anymore. Before I actually started painting. So this is relaxing. Oftentimes, this is relaxing talking about painting with Dice and Dungeons rather than painting. But in order to do that, I have to have something to talk about. And I really can't think of anything this morning because, woke up early because the contractors decided that it would be a great fun to be here before sunrise. They clearly live on a different schedule than someone who's retired. I actually remember working on a schedule like that, getting up. Excuse me. Yep, there it is. That's the before sunrise waking up. I remember working, and I remember getting up, especially in the winter, when the sun doesn't rise until like noon almost. That's what it feels like. Not only getting up before sunrise, but getting up, getting dressed, showering, eating a little bit maybe, and setting off to work and arriving at work before sunrise. I like being retired better than that because usually I get to sleep a lot. I'm a real fan of sleeping a lot. That's the relaxing part, is sleeping in late. But today, the relaxing part is painting. Okay, only 10 minutes. I used up 10 minutes. Not very good. But time to get on with the painting. I have chosen this selection of colors for this last one. Painting the inside of the wings a little bit darker. It's beastie brown. What better than beastie brown on that, right? And then kind of the darkest red we have for the edges of the wings and the body. And just purple for the tail, which I think is the same color as this. But I only have there's 3 purples, and there's hardly any difference among them. Yep. Purple. Got royal purple. Oh, this is a good way to waste some time looking for the other one. And the other one is heavy violet. Heavy violet. Maybe I don't think I've used heavy violet. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh, it's so heavy. Heavy violet. That was lame. See, no one's on in chat, so everybody must be having one of those days. I bet it is. It's just for everybody. It's just one of those days. So you couldn't even get up and tune in by 10 o'clock Eastern time. Couldn't even do that because it's such a one of those days to get on the chat and ask for a flip. So this is my flipping thing today, which I am not flipping until someone asks for it. So there. Maybe I'll get through the entire stream without a flip today. Yeah, there we go. Get some good wavering going. Yeah, the little steel ball has come loose from the pigment. That's always a good sign. I put a little mixing ball, little tiny ball bearing in each one of these many containers of paint, which should be in the custom-made paint holders. Well, that's a good digression. If I remember, I'll show you the custom-made paint holders. Anyway, they should be there. Nicely arranged so that I can find them and so that they're not here on the work surface using up all of my tabletop. Well, what fun is that when you can pull them all out and pile them up on your work surface so that they're in the way? Not nearly as much fun if I were to put them all away. This one hasn't been used in a while, this paint. Okay. So if you think I'm stirring it for a good long time, I am, because it hasn't been used. And so I could see just by looking at the bottle that the pigment had settled. But that's that. Okay. The order in which I paint these is, yeah, let's use one of these. This is a good thing to use. You can tell it's been used. You see how clean it is. You know, I mean, like, nobody's ever gotten any paint on it, and the sticky tack hasn't gone over the edge or anything. Move this back a little bit. There we go. Yeah. So I paint the brown part. Okay, the inside of the wings and the back of the wings, and then I paint the tail, and then that gives the wing color, because there's hardly any contact between the wing color and the tail, just a little point there. So I can usually do that pretty safely, and then that gives the time for the brown to dry before I do the body color, which takes longer because it's, all this little striping and things. And even though the body looks like it's simple to paint, it's really kind of a pain because there's all these like nooks and crannies and hard to reach spots, So that takes a little while. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Since this has been such a day, it'll be interesting to see how that affects the relaxing painting. There, I'll put this over here so you can see really exciting stuff like blobs of paint going into the palette. Yeah, it's always good to, adjust the camera during the stream so that everybody can, get a little dizzy or whatever. See that this is not a studio. I will repeat that at least once every stream. This is a workbench. I mean, it really is a workbench. It's actually an heirloom. I haven't talked about that. This bench is actually an heirloom. My dad built it many years ago, and I inherited it. Have moved it 3 times before it settled down here. It's been here for quite a long time. Found a place to settle. But yeah, this workbench that is under the cardboard is actually a family heirloom. Painting these wing parts first because it's the first thing I paint. That's usually there's two times when happens in general. Happens right near the beginning of the painting event because I'm just getting into okay, let's get some painting done and never quite sure how that will go. And the other time is near the end when I start to, it'll have been like 3.5 hours of this kind of thing, and have gone from relaxation to loss of focus. And there's a difference. There's a difference I've discovered between being relaxed and being unfocused. Yeah. And so near the end of the stream, which is most often around 2 Eastern time. So it's been, near the end of that is like 3.5 hours into talking about 60s cartoons and nuclear Armageddon and stuff like that. Sorts of relaxing things. Pestilence. I haven't talked about pestilence. Do that today. But yeah, doing this kind of thing at the very beginning is good because that's one of the more likely times for an event. Event being all the way from something small, like bringing a loaded paintbrush up to the work surface, that especially one that's already been painted, and hitting it on a different color of an area that's just been painted that is in a hard to touch up place. That's a minor A major is like spilling a paint bottle or breaking something like I did on Wednesday when I broke the spear off the centaur. That was one of the larger moments. Check this just to see remember where the colors go. I try to keep the moments to a minimum, but being what they are, which are moments, they're usually things that it doesn't matter if I'm trying or not; they just happen. The biggest moment wasn't on camera. You all got to hear about it, but never got to see when I knocked over my coffee mug. It spilled coffee all over the work surface. Pretty classic major These days, when we don't have one of those days, when everybody's sitting around bored because everything's done, you don't have anything to do anymore because you finished everything that was on the to-do list, and you even finished the stuff on the to-do list that you'd forgotten that you had, that you stuck somewhere to the, like on the bottom of a pile or something. You know how that goes. It's like, oh, I'm pretty much done with my to-do list. And then part of your final thing on the to-do list is clean up your desk. And when you're doing that, you find yet another to-do list. And yeah, really, it's stuff you need to do. There it is. It's the to-do. And you've even finished that. Okay, you even finished the stuff on the surprise to-do list. So you're really relaxed and you're really kind of bored. With that. But we're probably a couple of weeks away from that. Okay. Huh, that stayed on, pretty much stayed on camera. There you are. Oh, the music stopped. Okay. Okay, that'll give me something to do while this paint is drying before I paint the tail. And I'll do a flip because you showed up and asked for it. Probably like about 2/3 of the time, maybe more often, I've been able to actually get the music to start. So I've got a couple of things I can do. One is push this button. No, it says the music is playing, so that's not the problem. The problem is that the music is going somewhere else. Okay. I'm going to do some troubleshooting, some software troubleshooting. The troubleshooting is probably the wrong word. Maybe it's software trouble causing. Why is this? Paint's not coming out of this brush. Anyway, I'm going to try to fix the music. And then I'll do a flip because music is important because that is usually the most relaxing part. Glasses on. These glasses are trifocals and they don't focus up close. So when I'm painting, I have to take them off in order to see anything. I'm nearsighted, so when something's about this far away, I can start to focus on it up close like that. That's about my range of clear vision. Further away, then it gets really fuzzy, but that's too far away to paint anyway. I mean, reaching way over there, painting, that doesn't work. But if I want to read the screen, the giant monitor, which even though it's really big and has big letters, yeah. So let me find the music thing. Did it start up? It says it's playing, and it's counting down. It's on painting stream. Let me see if I can scroll through this thing. There's a little set of bars here. Okay, but the music's not playing. Hmm. Weird. I did everything I usually do to make it work. Wait, it's like loading. I have like a loading bar here. Give it just a couple of seconds to see if it starts. Okay. Maybe technical assistance has arrived. Trying to get the music to play. Says it's playing. The counter is counting. The little thing up there is. No, I'm not troubleshooting. I'm just troubling. Shoot.
I figured I would just say that.
No, come on in.
Oh no, I'm just trying to see the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually been able to get it going.
It's not.
That's it.
It's not
It's
registering.
troubling old man. Are you? Sometimes you are the problem, who? But today that's not it. I've been going to the wrong place.
Tell me, is that coming through?
It's showing now.
Yeah.
Thank you, troubleshooter.
I'm down to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good timing. That was our serendipity moment for today. Yeah, the camera is more in my face than usual. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are you consider that to be like a feature? No. Who was just saying that? Some people, yeah. Not a lot of people, just some people. I can move it more that way and angle it up a little bit. There's a lot of adjustments on this camera. There. How's that? I think, yeah, you can even see the camera that's in my face. That's the camera that's showing this. We have a highly sophisticated, two old, basically these are surplus cameras that we can't use in our real studio. This is where, I get to advertise Dyson Dungeons, Dungeons and Dragons campaign here, because these cameras used to be part of our what has now become a studio when we first started streaming. And then when Alexis decided that for some reason watching people paint is a cool thing, we got these cameras set up here, two of them. This Ring camera that, does this art. Oh, geez. Okay. Touching things is always this difficult moment there. Yeah, so there's this Ring camera, and then there's another camera that's pointed at me, and sometimes they overlap. All right. Oh yeah, I was going to paint the tail. The tail is heavy violet. Should I make the heavy joke again? Like, I could hardly lift this, versus this one, which is, this isn't heavy. Oh, this is heavy. No. Enough of that. Oh, and I was going to do a flip. I already started painting. You missed it. Look. See, I got paint on this guy. You just happened to let us know that the music wasn't working, and there's a whole digression. Yep. That's why I flip smaller, lighter things. Some days when there's delicate work here, when there's more delicate work on the work surface, these are pretty sturdy compared to some. I have this tiny little thing that I can flip. A little piece of balsa wood that is unlikely. I can't say there's a 0 chance of something bad happening because, yeah, right. There's never that. There's never a 0 chance of something happening, but there's a small chance. So there's that. Okay, painting the tail. The tail is going to be heavy violet. I haven't used this paint in a long time either, so I'll have to be giving that a good stir. And everybody gets to see the vibration. I think, this thing is on 2 pieces of foam. The vortex spinner thing is like on 2 pieces of foam, but the vibrations still go through, not to the workbench, but just they pass through to the camera, which is on this big cantilevered arm. So I think that's what happens. But we decided that, see that? Yeah, that's a feature, not a bug. Stuff is happening today. I was off camera finding things. Yeah, take these off. Take my glasses off so I can see. There we go. There is way too much heavy violet. I wonder if this stays on camera. What a nice color, really. There's a spot under the tail. You can see it from this side, and there's no way to get paint to it. So it don't even bother. It's just going to be in the shadows because some things can't be done. At least, it probably could be done. I probably could use like a really, really, like the one I'm going to use for the wings. Start painting the red. Really long, fine-tipped brush might be able to reach in there, but odds are like 90% that there'll be more paint on the places getting to it than there would be actually on it. So all of these imps just have that spot, except probably the one that Nicole did. The one that Nikki did, she probably was able to get that painted. You can kind of reach around here, get the brush kind of underneath a little bit. But that's just not going to work, really. what I found in the painting the other ones is that great. That was one of those. Bringing the paintbrush up to the work, not onto it, but just bringing it to it, is a very common source of OO here in relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons. Bumping it into an already painted surface is, as I said, a very common source of OO. And I would say probably about half of the things when I'm painting them, there is that kind of OO. It's usually a minor OO, even though it's like an already painted surface, because usually it's a easy to reach spot. That's why it gets bumped, because it's easy to reach. Sometimes it's not, and then it's more significant. So yeah, that was an almost but not quite OO moment. So there's the violet on the tail. My monitor has a really bad color fidelity. So the color I'm seeing on the monitor up there and the color I'm seeing by looking at it are really very different. I have no idea what you're seeing, because, it goes from here to the camera, to the stream deck, to whatever the internet does to it, to whatever you're watching this on. I think after you go through all of that, it's probably like really unlikely that you're getting this to see the same color that I'm seeing live here. I'm just looking around because I have been known to miss significant spots on tails. I painted the other ones. This one looks like it's purple almond. So I'm trying to get the purple out of the brush here. Yeah. Isn't that the technical phrase for transmission of color fidelity over the internet? It's like whatever the internet does to the color. Got up an hour and a half earlier than I wanted to because of the arrival of the construction people, the contractors. I've had like 2 ounces of coffee. I'm not sure that's going to help or not, as I have more. So yeah, internet stuff. All right. I'm drinking coffee out of my official Dice and Dungeons mug. Go. Okay. See that? It is the same logo as you see on the screen if you're watching this, which makes sense because, that's what we use for the mug. I think we should sell these. I don't know why we've decided why we didn't sell them. Maybe it's because shipping is too expensive. Anyway, if you want an official Dice and Dungeons mug, and it holds up pretty well. This has been through the dishwasher a couple of times. The logo on this side is holding up really well. The logo on my side that you can't see is coming off a little bit. Anyway, go on social media, whichever one. They're all listed on here somewhere. One of these little pop-ups underneath it lists the social media sites, and you can put in a request, say, I must have a Dice and Dungeons mug and I'm willing to pay the total cost of shipping plus the cost of the mug plus a reasonable markup. Well, an unreasonable markup in order to have one. And I can't guarantee that we're actually going to sell these, because I don't know. We haven't talked much about it, really. But you never know. You know, somebody asks for something, and they're willing to pay whatever it takes to get one. Yeah, we might just do that. Really going slowly today. I mean, usually by now it's like 11:30. Given how much I painted 2 colors already, and it's only like 45 minutes into the stream. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that because I don't really have anything more than these imps to do. I thought that this would take up a good deal of time. That wouldn't go on for some reason. But yeah, it seems not to be, so I don't know. Great. Hey, there's a little baby spider. Yeah, you can tell we're in a basement in the woods because, yeah, that. And just let it live its life somewhere away from here, somewhere. Okay. We don't have dungeon tiles unpainted even. Finish this. I had talked about priming some other things, other models, but I didn't because, things. See what happens. This actually takes a while though, because it's painting the edges of the wings and then trying to get paint into all the nooks and crannies of the body. And then looking at it and seeing spots that are missed. The other thing that takes a surprisingly long time is painting the little details, horns and the teeth. Some of it takes a long time just because they're really tiny. Paint didn't seem to be coming off the brush very well. So this is slow work, getting the edges on the wings and using this little brush and trying not to have too many bad moments. Oh, okay. We got the rogue bristle going again. There's one bristle on this brush, and there aren't very many of them because it's a pretty fine brush. But there's one bristle on this brush that likes to stick out, and that means that the paint doesn't go where the point of the brush goes. It goes off to the side where that bristle is. Yeah, I probably should do, since it's not contributing anything good. Let's see if I can See if I can make it become coherent again. Closer to the gray blotches. Oh, these. Like move the camera? Thing I'm painting. There. Okay. So I can, yeah, sometimes having a target here, like the gray blotches, is helpful in being able to tell. Because I don't look up all the time when I'm doing this kind of, I'm looking at what I'm painting, right? At least it makes sense that I do that. So having a target down here is a helpful thing. So that is an issue that comes up periodically, which is just, getting it to stay on camera. Painting this, I'm not looking up. I'm kind of moving things around so that I can see them. You might go to places where you can't see them. Pretty slowly today because when it's one of those days, it's one of those days, it's a good idea for me to just not to try to stay relaxed, I guess, really, to try to stick with the namesake of the stream, which is relaxing painting. And to try to stay relaxed. And sometimes that just means, going a little slower. And besides, I've got like the entire scheduled stream time to fill. And not that much to do. But you can see I'm painting, right? Even who can see that? That, in fact, I am doing painting on Painting Dice and Dungeons. Yep, that line got way out of line. I might come back and do some touch up with the brown. I'm talking about this here, where there's a raised edge on the wing, and that raised edge is red. But I went way past the ridge over there. So, depending on how the rest of this goes, I really should come back with the brown color and reduce the size of that. I'll see how it looks. I'll see how it looks when I've finished painting the red on. Okay, so I've got this one wing. Yeah, it goes down in there and then around the edges. I'm just looking at it to make sure I got all around where it should be. Nope, and I didn't. See, there's the inside of the wing here, the top. Here. There's a whole spot that I didn't paint brown. I just, right there. the bottom where this is red that is supposed to be brown and isn't. So that's another reason probably to do some little brown touch-up, is that there's a whole spot that got missed, just completely missed. Okay, well, that's getting to the adequate range. The adequate range of painting this. Start on the other wing. But yeah, I saw there's a whole spot. It's hard to see. It's right. I'm not going to poke at it with the brush full of paint. That would be dumb, wouldn't it? There's a spot on the wing that didn't get brown painted on it. So when I'm done with the red, before I start doing the wash on all three of these guys, I get the brown paint out again and do the touching up of the spot that I missed and the spot where I put too much red on. Isn't what to be. That is, if I remember to do that. If not, then there will just be flaws that will live forever. And I'm guessing because so many of these got printed, these are done on a rosin printer, which is located in a room across the hall from painting. And so Alexis decided to print these things, that it's quite likely that they will show up in one of the episodes in our D&D campaign. I don't think she would have printed all of these, just for the streaming. I'd say, not everything Nikki or I paint on the stream ends up on the campaign. At least not, right after they're done. But it's surprisingly often. Sometimes I paint some things that, they're sort of comical almost. Years so ago, I was painting a group of Dragonkin guard kind of folks, they were like soldiers, maybe royal guards, I don't know. Painted them in kind of primary colors with a complementary colored trim on their armor. They had all of these like little edging. The edging was painted different colors, and they ended up looking it's the kind of thing that if they were like lawful good paladins, to combat evil, that's all I do, is I must seek out evil wherever it exists and combat evil. Really stereotypic kind of lawful good kind of. comically lawful good. Yeah, they would look fine for that. It was clear they were all on the same team because of the matching, not the matching colors, but the matching motifs on their outfits. Okay, I started to paint the edging of the body here, where it goes around. I'll be doing more of that, especially the underside, which is kind of a pain, but I need to finish the wings first. So, yeah. I got the inside of the wing there, I guess. Time to do the outside. Anyway, I think that was a group of 5. I can't remember. I think it was 5 of them, maybe 6. Classic dragon colors. There's a red one and a green one and a black one and a bronze one. They were kind of interesting to paint. Doing all of the edging on the armor was a lot like painting the edges on the wings here. The whole thing went pretty quickly, but that took a long time. And then there was touching up because the lines went wavy or whatever. Or they went too far or not far enough onto the adjacent color. Anyway, yeah, that's the kind of thing that you don't know when, but eventually it's going to show up on the Dungeons and Dragons campaign for no reason. It's like, why? Because why not? They happen to be in the vicinity. They're doing their lawful good paladin kind of thing. To that, I'm sure it'll be really annoying. They will probably be annoyingly amusing when they do show up. No, they would be in there if they exist at all. Where would they have been? Looking for painting stir sticks. Not sticks for these little jars of paint, but for actual gallons of paint, or even better yet, 5 gallons of paint. So I think I just have to get off camera here for just a minute and come up with something, because we have lots of sticks. So it's a good time for that, because this brush needs to be cleaned a little bit anyway. Okay, so give me just a second. This isn't an official break. This is just, I'm going off camera, and you can look and admire at what I've been painting here. The drawer is the cat that's looking. Here's some. Potato gum. What I need to do, I am going to take a real quick break here. very, very fast and deliver these things that they were looking for that they couldn't find. But first, I don't want that sitting in the water. Gone. Okay. I'm going to be back in like no more than 10 minutes. So just a real quick break while I deliver something to people who are doing other stuff in the house. Be right back. Well, the weird thing about that is that I said it would be no more than 10 minutes, and it wasn't any more than 10 minutes. I would say that since I started this stream, when I say I'm going on a break and I give an estimate about how long it will be, this might be the second, definitely no more than the third time ever where the break was less than I said it would be. There have been, I would say, almost all the time that the break is longer than I said it would be. But this time I said it would be no more than 10 minutes, and it was like 6. Huh. It's even hard to, I don't know, it's really even hard to know, to believe that that happened. So it's such a rare event. Okay. I'm just looking around the edges of the wings here, making sure that what needs to be painted is painted. See if I can get the brush to be cohesive again. The bristles kind of separated there during the cleaning cycle. Okay, now I need to paint around the edges here. There's a lot of surface area on this guy, and none of it is flat. And just all sorts of little hidden spots and hard to reach spots. This paint is congealing. The solvent is evaporating, and it is becoming too thick to use. I have to squeeze out some more out of the bottle here. Wasting a lot of paint today. That the purple paint, sometimes I found that when I give those things a really good stirring, I mean a real stir, that there's a lot of paint up at the tip of it, and then when I squeeze it out, it just gushes out, and then I end up getting like 10 times more paint than I needed. And it just sits there in the palette, drying and getting wasted. I mean, not that it's sitting there consuming drugs and getting wasted. I mean, it's a waste. And it's really too bad that it's not getting used. So usually with the minifigs, usually meaning every time except this one, really, these imps have been the sole exception, is that the bases end up getting painted. But in this case, if you look at it, with the tiny little toes everywhere, and getting back there where you can't even get a brush, we're not painting the base, and so been very carefully. He's trying to be very careful to paint the little toes of the little feet. Like this. If it's in focus at all. Yeah. So just paint down to the base or just the tops of the toes. Because painting the base would just be really tough. So the base is staying the primer color. There have been a few times where, there's been spots of paint that have gotten onto the base, and there we have a color that's really close to the primer color and been able to doing touch up with that. There haven't been very many, but it's been good to be able to do that. Doing that, I'm doing the toes here. There's only 2 toes on the back feet, and there's 5 toes on the front. I guess that's an impy, demon-y kind of thing. I'm not sure why there's only 2 on the back foot, but that's what they are. There's just 2 there. So this is trying to paint down close to, but not onto the base with this red. Mainly going to be seen, from this angle. So there's, getting it right down to the base isn't as critical. Just around the tops and sides of its toes. And then trying to reach in to inside the model there to get paint where it's going to show. Side of the leg and the knee. This brush is, I don't use this brush very often because the bristles are really long. Sometimes makes it hard to control, but for this particular purpose, which is to say getting paint into all these difficult to reach spots, it's worked out pretty well. And it's got a fine enough tip. It's like the second finest brush maybe that I've got that I use routinely. It's fine enough to be able to do things like paint these little toes. One thing I find is that when it comes time to clean, this brush holds a lot of paint. There isn't very much of it, there isn't much of the brush. It's really pretty tiny, but it just grabs and holds on to a lot of paint, and it takes a fair amount of work and isopropyl alcohol solvent to get it clean, and I'll be doing that after I'm done using it to paint the It's taking a long time today. I'm just feeling like I need to be extra careful painting today. And then, and there'll still be a slip up. Kind of literally slip. When you're having one of those days, it probably is a good idea to be just cautious, relatively cautious anyway, so as not to have too many uh-ohs, especially we don't want a big uh-oh. A couple minor uh-ohs maybe. No major uh-ohs. Little tips of the toes or hands or whatever these are on the demon thing. The demon imp. The demon imp. Imps are little demons. Whatever it is. Whatever this little thing is. Getting toes there. Looks like they're hands. I guess these are the feet back here, and then it's got hands, but it's just sort of crouched down. So it probably is bipedal as opposed to quadrupedal. Pet must be bipedal. If you say quadrupedal, not quadrupedal, then it must be bipedal instead of bipedal, because why would you say P-E-D-A-L differently depending on whether it was a quad or a bi? I know in English we say the same spelling, many different pronunciations. That might be what's going on here. But I'm thinking this guy is probably bipedal. And is just crouching for some reason. Maybe, to spring on people unexpectedly. I don't know why we need to say that. You don't spring on people expectedly. Oh, I expect you to spring on me. Oh yeah, that's a good thing because I'm going to. It's unexpected. So it seems kind of redundant to add the unexpected part, doesn't it? Okay, and again, trying to see how many spots I missed. I need to... Actually, one of these, I did that. It was like, oh, I'm done. And then I look up and the entire head isn't finished, right? I thought, ooh, I better do that. And then these guys, the first one I did, I thought these were horns, all of them. Those are horns, but these on the edges here, these are ears. They need to definitely be the body color, being part of the body and all. And I paint the entire face, and then the eyes and the teeth get painted on as detail later. And usually that involves, they're tiny little dots of paint that don't really go where I want them to go, where they go and they get too big and they need touching up. So I try to remember what color I'm using for the body color, so that after I paint the teeth and I need to go back and do major touch-up on where the eyes, and I need to do a major touch-up on the face, I can remember what color to use. Otherwise, if I use the wrong color, the touching up is definitely not touched, not effect, and the touch-up needs to be touched up because it's the wrong color. I haven't done that on these guys yet. I say yet, giving myself the opportunity one last time. Well, there's 3 times. I got 3 of them that need to have their teeth and eyes and horns painted. Okay, this is a pretty good color combination. It's more like the original one. It's a little darker than some of the others have become. Just give it one more rotation here to see if there are any major spots that I missed, even minor spots. And this is drying pretty nicely, so by the time I get the other 2 washed, this one will probably be ready to be washed. This one. There was a spot that was supposed to be brown that wasn't. Yeah, there it is. Clean this brush as I can, and then see how much paint this holds. People are making you work. It's a Friday. They should all be getting ready for the weekend and avoiding work. It's like, work. Let's see if this brown is still. There might be some underneath there. Yeah, this is not the brush for that, though. This brush is bad news for that. Just a tiny spot, and I have to get the line right. So I'll try to get some of the red out of this a little bit more, use some of see if I get a little brown paint on the end of it, and then get it to the spot that needs to be painted if I can find it again. There it is. There, that worked. And then this line here was just a little too long, too wide, but I'm not going to mess with it, because if I do, sometimes I find that attempting to fix a problem creates a problem, I don't want to do that. So now this has got red paint in it and brown paint in it, and I'm going to take a few moments to get out the isopropyl alcohol and clean this brush. Just see how much paint builds up in this thing. Especially back, the base of the bristles. That happens to all the brushes, right? You clean the tips of it, but the paint builds up right here. it is mostly clean and the bristles form a coherent point. So I cap it up here. I'm not going to be using this for the detail. I've got another brush for that, for the little horns and teeth and eyes. But those go on after it's washed. Use this brush, which is a little broader bristle, but still fine enough to give some control. The wash, and I'm using this dark brown wash pretty liberally, especially on the insides of the wings, especially on the body and the tail, because I want those to get darker. Let's see, I've got another holder here. Start with this kind of orange one. It's kind of, oh, excuse me. This kind of orange is supposedly vermilion, or amaranth. It's amaranth red, but it's not really red. It's kind of orange. I'm always, yeah. So we'll see. This will be kind of a weird colored one. Not quite as weird as the pink one. You know, that one's kind of weird. But, yeah. Most of them are in this kind of color range. You know, red with brown and tail of various and sundry colors. But this one might require like 2 coats. Some of them are required like 2 coats of wash, especially on the insides of the wings where I want it to really be dark. There's 2 things I'm trying to accomplish with the wash. One is to make sure it puddles up nicely in the creases and crevices of the wings, and the other is to not get it on the base. Now, see if I can accomplish both of those things here. Start here. See how it nicely darkens things up, and I want it to puddle up in the crevices down there. And I try to get a fair amount on the vermilion, not amaranth. Sorry, I keep saying vermilion. I don't know why I'm saying vermilion, but I want to say amaranth. Fair amount on the amaranth. It's not quite such a bright orange color. I want it to be not bright orange color. So hopefully with this brown wash on it, it will be it'll still be orange, it looks like, but not quite so bright. The backs of the wings end up looking kind of spotty, but there's actually ridges, like little ridges printed into them. And so the wash collects in those and highlights them. It's important to get the tail too. The tail is all of these colors for the tail are really bright, blue and purples and azure and things like that. So getting a fair amount of wash onto it, especially highlighting the kind of bead-like structure of the tail. And you can see how it changes now, how quickly it changes with the wash. And now it's, instead of being this bright blue tail, is a little bit foreboding, which it should be, because it's a spiky imp tail that has a stinger on the end. get too much on the feet. The toes end up looking brighter, but I don't want to get it all over the base of the model, so there. And then I do a rotation. What I don't want is any not necessarily that it's really everything's heavily covered, but I don't want like a real bright spot just jumping out because it didn't get any wash on it. Some of the spots are supposed to be brighter than others because the wash is uneven, but if it doesn't get on it at all, then it's like that. Like down there it didn't. And so it just jumped out as being unfinished. Okay, well, I was a little concerned about the color when I saw it, especially next to some of the others that were much darker. But with this brown on it, it doesn't look too out of place. No more than the pink one does. So, every Imp family's got to have somebody who's just a little bit more flamboyant. Take this one off. Dry yet, but it'll be dry enough by the time I'm done with this one. This is a much more traditionally colored one compared to, if you look at these guys here, traditionally colored like these. Forgot to talk. Got to listen to the music. The music's playing at least. So there's that. Sorry to... Basically what I was doing was listening to all the hammering from the work that's going on. At least today, most of it's on the outside. The last few days we've had a lot of people inside pounding on things. Today they're on outside pounding on things, so it's you can still hear the noise, but it's less intrusive and less disruptive. Say I'm looking forward to this being done. Then you won't have to hear about it on the stream. You want to hear about, okay, yep, I came here before dawn again. Everybody's tired and grumpy. Time for relaxing painting because it better be relaxing. This other stuff isn't, so the painting better be. So it'll be less pressure to be relaxing, once they're done. Despite the title of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. Relaxing, but it doesn't have to be like relaxing. Darn it. This tail is just purple. It's not heavy violet, so it's a little bit lighter. Yeah, there are some noticeable. If you put them next to each other, you can see that they're different colors. If you don't, it's like, well, it's purple. It looks purple like all the other purples, but it tones down pretty well with the brush, just like the blues do. There. I like to get it in the shadow spot. Okay, well, this will be okay. I'm going to get that last one washed, and then the timing on this will be just about right. Not perfect, but pretty close. When I get the last one washed, the wash dries fairly slowly. Scheme of things, it doesn't dry real fast like some of these paints do. And I want it to be dry before I paint the horns and things. So that's actually going to work out in that after I get this last one washed, this guy, we're going to take a break, and the break will start a little bit early, a little earlier than usual. This one's done. I don't want to mess with that one. I can tell it's done because the horns and teeth have been painted, and it's got little beady yellow eyes. After I get this one done, it'll be just about the right time for a break. Be a little bit early. Sometimes break starts early, sometimes it starts a little late. It depends on how the relaxing painting is going, right? In this case, it'll be starting a little early, and if I don't lie too terribly much about how long it's going to take, I'll come back a little early too. And I'll try to keep the break to like a half hour. Try anyway. And then I'll paint the details, the horns and the spikes and the teeth and the eyes. Get this one done, and then, just talk a little bit about Dice and Dungeons before the break, because that'll be an opportunity to do that while we're all watching paint dry. One of the features of relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons is periodically being able to just sit around and watch paint dry. Getting painted and what has to happen next. Sometimes the paint has to dry before anything else can happen, because it's like putting another layer of paint over it. Or if it's Nicole, she's probably going to be doing like highlighting and shading and things that I've heard about and have occasionally attempted without terribly much success, but that she's really good at. Anyway, you can't do that usually until the paint is dried. So yeah, in this case, I can't paint the teeth and the horns and eyes until the wash is dried. Otherwise, if I try to paint them white, the wash will just bleed into them. They'll turn out a different color than I was attempting to create. So this one's pretty much done. It gets a little less shiny as it dries too, which is good. I think this one came out okay. Maybe a little bit more up here. Down so that it dries in the crevice, right? So it doesn't just gravity pulls it down. Gravity got you down. Dry like that. This one turn out. Yeah, this one could be a little darker up here too. Yep. And I'm just going to set this down here and so the before, kind of wedge it under there. That kind of works. All right. So you have been watching the pre-break session of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. I will be going on break in about 5 minutes after I clean this brush, take a quick look around and see what needs to be done next. Then when I come back, I will be painting. I'll just pull one of these up. You can see the horns and the teeth and the little eyes. I'll be painting those, usually with modest success. Then I use a dark gray wash on the horns to tone down the bright white. I don't do that on the teeth because I want them to stay bright white. What will often happen is that the paint will go where I don't want it, especially around the eyes, and I need to touch it up again with the body color and the wash. In this case, there are 3 body colors. There's the amaranth, which is this one back here, that's base up. Okay, there's just flat red, and then there's scarlet red on the one that I did last. Which is the heavy violet. As opposed to, well, you can actually see the difference between purple and heavy violet. Cool. So this one is amaranth, this one is red, and this one is scarlet red. And it's important for me to know that because when I do the touch up around the eyes and sometimes around the teeth, I need to get the base color right so that I can so it matches. Pretty much basically that. Basically get these weird little spots on its face that don't match the rest of the body. So this is Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons, and Dice and Dungeons is first and foremost a Dungeons and Dragons campaign group. Family and friends who get together and we stream 3 Sundays a month at 2 Eastern Time with live chat, and all the episodes can be seen on YouTube or listened to as a podcast. And if you haven't already, or even if you have, I'll extend the invitation to join us. And any one of those 3 ways, the stream, the podcast, or the YouTube, to do that. I think you'll find them very enjoyable. We have a lot of fun doing them, and we hope that those who watch or listen have fun participating with us that way as well. And this stream all started as we were painting things for the show. We started doing dungeon tiles so that we got more and more elaborate than just, having 1 by 1 inch grid that we started with. So we started painting dungeon tiles, and after I do the little detailing on this and before I wash it, I'll show you a sample of the dungeon tiles. They're painting those for the stream, and decided that, well, if they're being painted, we might as well stream the painting, because people can then see how the things that show up on the Dungeons and Dragons show, you know, like the tavern we're in, or the figures of the people we run into, where they came from and how they were produced. So they get dungeon tiles get printed on these 3D printers behind me, and we hand paint all of them, and they look just amazing and really enhance the show. So you get to see on this stream those things that show up in our D&D campaign in preparation. Get to see them produced. And like I said, after break and after I get some of this detail done, I'll show you some samples of it, because they're really amazing features. And then the minifigs, at first we bought some. You know, we would buy some to be painted and used in the stream, but now got a rosin printer. And so, you know, we get things like this, which was painted a while ago. Okay, that was just done on a rosin printer and all hand painted here. This is a guy that hasn't been primed yet, that'll probably get painted next week. This is a guy that hasn't been primed yet, that'll probably be painted next week. This is a centaur that hasn't been primed yet, that'll probably get painted next week or the week after. This is the one that I famously broke the spear of on Wednesday by just bumping into it. And you can see, if you look real closely, a tiny little shiny spot right there where the epoxy is holding it together. Yay. Okay. And then, you know, when they come off the rosin printer, and I need to look at this before I prime them, you get these little threads, okay, like that. These little support threads that are not supposed to be there. And once they're painted, they'd be really in the way. Usually these break off really pretty easily. Sometimes they break off and take a piece of it with you. That often happens, like with swords and spears and things, and yeah, that's always exciting. There's a little spot there that needs to be, you know, just taken off before it's primed, because it would show up as a weird little dimple or pimple after it's. Yeah. Anyway, these are printed. We're doing our own minifigs now, printing them on the rosin printer. And there seems to be kind of a limitless supply, like this set of 7 imps. And that's that. And then there's like a whole pile of them here that if I reached over to try to show to you, I would say with an 80% chance I would knock something over and break it. So I'm not going to now, but I might after the break. Show you some of the stuff that I and Nicole have painted over time. And if you're watching this, like there's a blood magic pool there inside of a dungeon. That's an example of like one of the dungeons that we built. It's got operating doors that open and close. It's got a pool like that has liquid. There's a green one, variation of the same sort of thing. Creating those pools was a lot of fun. We did that by mixing what's called realistic water, which is like a plastic emulsion kind of thing, with swirly little paints. Ooh, swirly. There's the purple one. So you can see the variations of the same sort of thing, but also the variation in the dungeon tiles. There's a fire sigil that appears in another one of our dungeons that has a cauldron in it. And there it is. That cauldron has a little magnet in it, and there's a flame that has a little magnet in it, and you can put it in, and now you get a flaming thing. Like you can walk into the dungeon and there's no flame, and then the mage goes flame on, and you put a flame in, and it flames. Anyway, those are really cool features. So I am going to start my break like about 10 minutes early, maybe 7 minutes early. And then I'm going to plan to be back about 20 after 12 in about a half an hour. And as you know, I almost always fail to execute my plan, but that's when I expect to be back, and so I should be pretty close to that today. So this isn't ending. I have more painting to do. Hopefully it'll be somewhat relaxing. I have more painting to do to finish up these 3 imps. And yeah, I'll do that after break. So hang in there. See you in about a half an hour. Break is over. I guess I am sufficiently broken. I made that joke before. It's not a joke. It's not funny, but I said it anyway. So that's the kind of thing that happens from time to time on Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons, is you get that. Okay. Yeah, the wash seems to have dried sufficiently for me to now make an attempt to paint the horns, the eyes, and the teeth on these 3 guys. I've done it 3 times before with adequate success. But now I'm going to do it again on these 3. Be using this white. This white paint just dries real quickly. And so what I find is that I need to get like the teeth first, tiny little dots of paint on the teeth, and then start painting the horns, and then I need to pull out fresh paint because that's just the way it is. And because of that, there isn't much time to work. And I just found that to be the case with this paint. Whites and yellows tend to, and oranges, that whole kind of grouping of paints all seem to behave differently than, say, blues and browns. I don't know, maybe it's the kind of pigment that's in there. So a couple of things happened on break. One is I came back almost on time. Definitely not more than 5 minutes late, which is kind of a surprise. I remembered to bring my mug with water, replacing the coffee with water. That's the first time in about 4 streams that I actually remembered to bring my hydration liquid here. And I brought samples. I've been talking about this for like a month, of some of the other dungeon tiles that we've made, other than just the ones that I showed you from time to time, so that you can see the really cool stuff that we do. And after I paint these, I'm going to spend a little time showing those to you. Now, in order to, not only do I have to take my glasses off to see up close, but I need to put my head magnifiers on in order to see especially the teeth and the eyes. I am in fact putting those on, and then making an effort to focus and and get the paint in the right spots. I don't know. We'll see how this goes today. I'm using what's left of this little bitty brush. This is the second one of these. Eventually the bristles just sort of disappear and the tiny brush becomes yet even tinier, as this one is tending to do. I need to get a little tiny, itsy little bits of paint on here. Touch it to where raised teeth are. Oh my, that just went really, 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 really badly. I mean, like exceptionally, awfully badly. There's just way too much paint on the brush. Not sure what it's going to take to fix that. I'm making a mess of things. Let's just keep going. It's like you put it on and it like dries instantly because there's so little on the brush. Painting the teeth, it just spilled. It just spilled everywhere. And then dried instantly. There's either too much liquid paint on the brush or not. Well, both of those are going to take some significant cleaning up. Yeah, well, hopefully I'll be able to get the paints to kind of match, closely enough to the faces, because the yellow is not going to, on the eyes, probably isn't going to go terribly much better. Yeah. Little beastly, poor little beasties, little faces will be, it'll be a thing. Something to do. The teeth on this one didn't turn out too badly. They're not good. They're adequate, but the teeth on the other ones, wow, yeah, really bad. Really a mess. Those are going to take some work to fix. The issue with the horns here primarily is making sure that they get painted everywhere. Easy to like miss, not rotate it and just miss a whole chunk of them. Like the backs or the sides or something like that. Also that the paint dries, so it just keeps drying on and building up on the brush. I don't know what's with this white. I have another white. Too light for these guys, but if I ever need to paint something white, I might try that instead. And this is a really nice bright white. So it makes either a really good undercoat or bright white if that's what you want. But it just does that. It dries so fast. Don't want to thin it down more, because then it would just run everywhere and then dry fast. But after I paint this one, I need to clean the brush, because you might even be able to see it on the stream that it's just building up on the brush. Something fierce here. You can see the horns they jump out. Okay, they're really bright. But they get toned down significantly with the dark gray wash. I was able to successfully complete my break. That was good. I was able to get back less than 5 minutes late, at least according to one of the clocks. I didn't look at the computer clock. I probably should have. That's the official time. I was just looking at the clocks upstairs. And, you know how clocks are, unless they're, tied into the National Observatory in Greenwich. Kind of like, like your cell phone is and all that. You just got a clock, like the one on the wall up over there. Desk upstairs. The one on the stove in the kitchen, they all show different times. They're close, like within a minute or two of each other. But nonetheless, you go from one room to the next, and there's a difference in the time, at least as it shows on those clocks. Anyway, what I'm saying is that according to the clock I was using, which may or may not be, 100% accurate, according to that clock, I completed my break on time. And I remembered to bring down my water. And then when I got down here, I remembered to get samples of the other dungeon tiles, so that the first time on this stream, instead of just talking about them, I'll actually be able to show them to you. You're probably noticing, as we note on every stream, I am not a master artist. How to do this stuff the best way, the most artistic way or anything like that. Not a master artist, not a master model maker, but I am adequate at preparing these for our stream. So these aren't display level models. Okay, that's not what they're intended to be. They're intended to be like props. like props would be on a movie or a TV show or something. And always look better at a distance under that kind of studio lighting and everything than they do if you got really close to them. Sometimes props look really kind of scuzzy. Mugger, glad to see you again. Thank you. Haven't seen you in quite a while. Sorry, I wasn't looking up. So thanks for joining in. Yeah, I've got all these imps here, and I'm glad you have a chance for dinner. That's the problem with the time zone differences when you're in a different continent, right? So, well, I have to say congratulations and condolences on having a full-time job, because having a full-time job and having a steady income of an adequate nature and stuff is really good, but then it takes up a lot of time. So congratulations on having that, and I hope you're able to. Yeah, it does. I mean, and then there's like getting ready, getting to the job, doing the job, getting back, trying to decompress after doing the job. So a full-time job takes a lot of time. I remember having a full-time job. It's not something I would recommend, but you have to have it, I mean, if you have a choice, which most people don't, but anyway, I'm babbling. Oh, yeah, that's a decently long commute. So you lose an hour and a half of day just getting to and from, right? Plus the getting ready, plus the decompressing. Work really gets in the way of life. Although it both sustains life, and interferes with it. But congratulations on getting that full-time work. I hope it's something you like doing. I mean, if you have to spend a lot of time at it, I hope it's at least interesting. I can't say fulfilling, the whole myth of, your life is fulfilled through your work kind of thing, I guess for some people, but, fulfilled in the sense that it provides you the means. Well, once a week is actually, as long as it's regular, that's a really good schedule. We've gotten irregular here because there's just been a lot of family stuff. Just helping people move and hauling things around and visiting. Just a lot of things that have taken a lot of time. Okay. Well, thanks for joining in. And, hopefully you can check us out next week, too. I will plan on being Monday, Wednesday, and Friday next week. So unless there's something untoward that happens, and you never know, should have a full schedule next week for the first time in a while. But thanks again. Have a good dinner. Glad these imps, they come in a pack. I don't mean like it was in a package. What I mean is that there's a pack of 7 of them. And I'm really guessing that they're going to show up in the stream somehow or other. Otherwise, why make 7? You could just do like 1 or 2 if you just want to do them as examples. So I'm guessing that we're going to run into them in our D&D campaign. As such, the paint job that I'm doing, which I label adequately, I am doing an adequate job, will be adequate as props. Because on the stream, you're seeing them at a distance under studio lighting. And so they end up looking a whole lot better than they really are. which is a good thing because I have to say, yeah, they look okay. They aren't adequate. I have achieved adequacy. Painting the little eyes, they're really tiny little dots. I actually tried to use the tip of a pinpoint, just a tiny little bit of paint on it, and it actually was the bigger blob of paint than if I used this little brush. And I have found on every single one of these that one eye comes out pretty okay, and the other one comes out like really needing a lot of touch-up. I'm not quite sure why that is. Usually the left eye comes out, no, the right eye is the one that's been coming out okay, and the left eye is the one that hasn't. It's just weird. But after I paint these, I am going to have to go back and on all of these, hopefully I'll find the right color red for each of them, especially this one. I mean, that face the teeth really got mangled. Bad mangling. It's starting to dry up so much that it's just leaving blobs of paint on the model. I think these horns always look really gross when they're that bright, but then with the gray wash they really tone down a lot. Had success with that. Yeah, so before I try to fix the face because of the teeth that are messed up, I'm going to go ahead and get the eyes in, because that'll be additional mess up. One of these is red and the other one is scarlet red. Red. Hopefully whichever one I pick blend in enough so that it doesn't become a problem. You've got right there in the middle of its face, you've got the wrong color of paint. And I suppose that can be fixed by retouching it, touching up the touching up. But I would just as soon not have to do it over. Okay, getting the yellow. This is the yellow for the eyeballs. And usually I'm pretty good at getting the paint on it, but not very good at getting it confined. I really shouldn't try to do this. Probably do more harm than good. Yeah, I usually succeed in getting a yellow spot in the eye socket, but it usually turns out to be too big and then I have to touch up around it. But that's what the touching up part is all about. Stirring it enough so that the little ball bearing comes loose so I can actually hear it rattling around. Okay, get some yellow. Yeah, then let's see what happens. I get a tiny dot of yellow on the brush. Which symmetric. But they look really spooky, so I'm going to leave that alone. Leave this alone. Trouble with the left eye here. Okay, well, from a distance they look okay. I need to fix the teeth now on all of them. And then there's a couple of other little spots too. I'm going to do that kind of one at a time. This is the flat red one. This is the one that's a mess. Yep, this is the scarlet red one. Okay. Those create little bright spots. I have to touch those up with the brown wash, hopefully. Brilliant one. I managed to get white on the tail. Right, nice. I think that I'll just do this now, otherwise I'm gonna forget. This was the dark purple color. Look at that. Okay. That is a buildup of paint on the nozzle. And what happens is that the cap, every time I do that, the cap doesn't quite cover the nozzle, so if there's any paint on it, it just sort of builds up. It doesn't get in the way of anything, but it's just there. Or if I can just get enough off the nozzle here. No. So dot. So this is the amaranth one. This one isn't too bad. There's a spot on the ear here that's not good. Bit on the side of the mouth there. Big spot there that I don't know if I'm going to reach. There. Okay, well, that'll do. I mean, it's just tiny little dots of paint that make a big difference in the appearance. So there's that. And then there's the scarlet red. Nice little theme of color going there, huh? Yeah, this guy's face is really, really kind of sad. Tooth. Maybe not. I'm thinking maybe of leaving some of that on the bottom, but let me fix the top here and then see what it looks like. This tiniest little bit here. It's having trouble seeing the tip of the brush. There. That looks okay now. And fix the ear at the same time. And it's a little bit here on the wing. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. I have to remember, this is the thing with these. There's magnets on the base, and they repel each other. If they get too close to each other, they'll actually go flying. I did that once. I had a model on one and on the other, and I set one down next to it, and it flew and busted off the sword and an arm. And the arm, it flew so far that the pieces just disappeared. They were just gone forever. Okay, now I need the brown wash. Just what I want to be really careful with this, but I need to see if some of these spots are too bright or not. If they don't show as being too bright, then I can leave them alone. Otherwise, I just need to touch, like this one, I put it around the ear. I just want to touch that with the wash to make it darker. Okay. This one, there's a bright spot here. It definitely needs toning down. Chin on the side. This is weird. I don't know why this happened, but there's actually pupils that show on these little eyes. I don't know if you can see them, but just the way the paint flowed, the yellow paint flowed, it created the image of pupils in the eyes. Very odd. Spot on its left cheek there. To dim that down. And put a little extra on the forehead there. And the tip of its ear. somehow or other. It's very bright. Okay. Now, the only thing that needs to be done now is to put some wash on the horns, the spikes, right? I think I use this brush. I think I'll just keep using this brush while I'm at it. And then we'll probably be done. And it looks like I'm going to end early today. Not by a lot, but maybe a half hour. I'm going to let these dry for a minute. Oh, wow, you're back really quick. You ate your whole dinner and you popped back in? Thank you. Thanks for joining in. That's really nice. And now I'm hungry. I can take these off now. That sounds really good. So what did you have with the meatloaf? What were your side dishes? Tell me all about your meals so I can feel even hungrier. I'm going to let the white on this dry before I do that, before I put the wash on them. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take the time now to show you our dungeon tiles. So you don't need to watch the paint dry on these. I'm just going to set them up over here and then use this dark gray wash to do to make the horns less bright. They will look like this. Okay. Wow. Yeah. What I had for lunch was a glass of water. Looking over there, and there's a broken broom. Now having a visitor down here. Yeah. Oh, it did? Ooh. Be right back. Like just snapped. Okay. So the relaxing painting that's going on in the rest of the house is painting ceilings. And there was a pole, a big long pole with a roller on the end, and apparently one of them broke. And now there's only one, so that means instead of two people doing it, there's only one, and we were just looking for a replacement to see if there was another one around. And just in the cursory look right now, not, but after the stream, I'll take a look again. So let me show you the dungeon tiles. I've showed you these before. So I'm going to show you them again, but I have some additional ones that are really cool. So these are the kind of dungeon tiles we produced on the PLA printer back here that show up in our dungeons. There's a really little tavern thing there. They're printed as one piece, walls and floor. This is rough stone. They're all primed, hand-painted, hand-detailed, and this one hasn't been washed to make it look rough yet, but it will be. And then there's a little plate on the bottom, and under these plates are ball magnets, and the ball magnets stick to each other, but not to anything else. So unlike some dungeon tiles from manufacturers I won't name, magnetized doesn't mean that they have to stick to a metal platform. You can see this is wood with cardboard. It doesn't stick to that, but they stick to each other because the little ball magnets rotate, and you can put the dungeon together in any configuration you want, and it holds together, which makes it really cool. You can do all sorts of things with them, and if you've got enough of them, you can build all sorts of dungeons because you can rearrange them any way you want. You can even rearrange them during a battle. We had a mimic dungeon that when a power source was disrupted, when the power source was disrupted, the dungeon rearranged itself and we got teleported into a new one. So there's that, but I wanted to show you a couple of other things. This is a special one. This is cut stone, so you can see the difference, okay? This is pretty much the same color, but it's been washed with a dark wash so that you can see that it looks more worn, and there's an entire layer, a mage layer, and this sigil, the fire sigil, is actually printed right on the wall, and then like everything else, it's hand painted. And I have to say that this is one I probably painted, and I did a pretty decent job getting the gold or the brass highlighting and the copper and the red and the black. So the dungeon this is in actually has 3 of these, and I think when you watch the scroll underneath me, you can see one. It has a cauldron in the center, and the cauldron is brass, and it has a little magnet in it, and there's a flame with a little magnet in it, and when the mage says something creative like flame on, the DM can take the flame and put it in the cauldron, and now there's a flame. So this, I wanted to show you this because this is pretty, it's just really pretty, I think. And then I talked about these before, but these are wooden ones. And I really think these come out really well. They take a while to paint because the stucco color has to all be painted in, and then the outline around it. So these, the stone ones, just paint everything gray and then highlight a couple of the blocks. But these need to be, more carefully painted in order to get them to look right. And they're the same thing, okay? The wall and the floor are done, the little base plate with the magnets underneath. And they're always painted on both sides so that when you build your dungeon, you can have the inside, but if you wanted to, you could actually have the outside. And recently, and they're over there, a whole bunch of streets, cobblestone streets and sidewalks, so that actually we could use these walls as the walls lining the streets instead of in between. This is another feature. I grabbed this not only to show you what the wood looks like, but that we have doors, and the doors work. So if you want to unlock a door and open it, you can open it. And when playing your character in D&D, you can decide if you're opening it from this side, you can say, I open the door and hide behind it so that someone comes rushing through and you ambush them, ta-da! Or it's just the opposite. You open the door that way and you rush in and you get ambushed. But you can see, how the detail comes out. You can see the wood grain on it really well. And then the strapping, and these are pin hinged then, everything is one piece, but the door is separate, and then the lintel goes on and holds the door in place. And the hinge pin goes right through down to the floor. But I thought you really should see the wooden ones, because they're, like I said, they take more time to paint because you have to be more careful getting all the lines more or less right. And then we practice with different colors of brown and different colors of washes in order to get the best wood look. And this sort of dark oak looking wood for both the floors and the beams on the walls, I think, turn out really well. And it looks good on the doors also. So this is the kind of stuff we've been producing. And, oh yeah, in foam, that would be kind of neat if you can do that. It might actually be more work, especially trying to get all the wood grain in and everything. But I wanted to show you that there was more than just the ones that I've been showing you for the last month or so. And that they all use the same technique of magnetic coupling. So yeah, pretty neat. Maybe you can succeed in doing that, and we can see it on one of your streams. Talking to old Brogger, who does a stream as well, and if you're watching this one, you might want to watch theirs. Okay, but this came out pretty neat. We practiced with different colors of this. Initially, we picked the red, but played around with different colors for the circle here, and finally decided on copper. And it's a little metallic looking, but it's pretty neat. And then this really flat black that we're able to find that just absorbs the light, just really highlights the flames. So that comes out pretty cool looking. Yeah, now I need to find a place to put. Yeah, cool. I just need to find a place to put these where I don't break them. Yeah, reaching over stuff. It's always a risk. Log cabin. Ah, so you're finishing it tomorrow, or it's done and you're showing it tomorrow? So it's a 3D thing? Ah, the video's coming out, okay. So it's like a 3D cabin, like the whole cabin with a roof and all? That'd be cool. Send us a link. Take a look at it. So those of you who are watching Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons, please check out old Brogger as well. Now I've got the final bits on these last imps, and that is to just get some dark gray wash and brush it onto the very bright white spikes and horns. Oh, $3. Okay, so that you're selling it for $3? Oh, okay, so it's not one of the form things. Got it. Okay, from Willow Tree. Yep, coffee stir sticks. So that must have taken quite a while to put together. So you built a frame and then used the willow tree as like the log part, the rounded part around the whole side. Yeah, I bet. I bet it looks really awesome too. So does your video show you building it, the stages and steps in building it? So we'll get to see how it came together. Cool. What did you use as an adhesive? Did you use like super glue or epoxy or something else? As I know, if you used wood glue, it would take too long to dry, because that can take a while. Oh, really? You used a hot glue gun to do it. Cool. I've used a hot glue gun occasionally, and you wouldn't be terribly surprised to find out. Yep, and cyanocrylate, yeah. PVA glue, okay. Well, you probably wouldn't be too surprised to find out that when I've used a hot glue gun, it just made a hot mess. because, you know, I am just so skilled. Okay, I'm just taking little drops out of the bottle cap here because I don't need very much of this on the brush. Well, I'm interested to see how that came together. How long is the video? I'm sure the video is not 2 days long. You know, some like an Antonioni film, right? I don't know if anybody even knows what those are, but he was famous for making films that, I mean, they might not have been like 6 hours long, but at the pace things failed to move, sometimes it felt like it. Oh, okay. So really almost like a time lapse. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I guess, you know, occasionally we tried to make things, but we just end up using it. Alexis is really good at coming up with, I don't know what they're called. I really don't. Like they're not the schematics for the PLA printers, you know, but they're the little programs that go into the printer that tell it what to print, how much, where. And she's just really good at either designing or taking, you know, a rough design and making it work for us. Trying to get spots at the base here. That must have been a lot of work just even editing the video, much less building the model. Okay. Yeah, it's always, this is one of those, oh, I rotate it and there's no wash on this side at all. Thanks for joining in. I really appreciated that. And yeah, if you can, stop in again next week. I'll be doing this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, really, unless something seriously significant happens. And I'm hoping there won't be anything like that. I should be able to be on schedule all of next week and getting, you know, doing some minifigs on Monday and Friday, and of course Submarine Wednesday. Yeah. I can see how a full-time job can really interfere with the thing you really like to do when you need to devote that much time. From the ones I've seen, you've done a really good job. Okay, this one's good enough. Yeah, who's been doing shorts for us? we got to have a lot of video content, keep the viewers engaged with something new all the time. I'm only allowed to do things that are, within my scope of practice, which is limited. You can't teach old dogs new tricks thing is just fine with me. I know a trick. I will just do that trick. Like I can do sort of relaxing painting like this 3 days a week, unless I'm traveling or there's family stuff or, the things that have made the schedule get all screwed up yet this year. But for the most part, stuff gets done and it's interesting, and I get to talk about how I thought that the Flintstones was much better than the Jetsons. I talked about that a little bit, but I never really got fully into, the conversation about why the Flintstones were better than the Jetsons. I might do that Monday. That might be something. It might be something to do. But thanks for joining in, old Brogger, and hopefully we'll see you next week. I am getting close to being done here today. I will probably finish a half hour early. And I'm going to take that opportunity to then just wrap up. And then help with the ceiling painting that's going on upstairs. Yeah. So we got these miniature models, and now we're just painting half a house. I guess, in the scheme of things, this is more relaxing in that, I can just sit here on the bench here and get this done, as opposed to the huge amount of work it would take otherwise. Be doing that later this week too. What's going on at the back of this horn? It's just not washing the way I wanted to. But I think as long as I haven't really missed any big spots, they look okay. Yeah. Oh, there's a spot there. That's way too bright and just the wrong spot. I'm glad I looked over. I just need to gray it out a little bit. And I got one left. And after I do this one, we'll have an opportunity to visit with the entire Imp menagerie. Yep, we'll get to visit with the entire Imp menagerie and clean this brush, which will take a little bit of doing. There's hardly any bristles left, and the ones that are holding a good deal of pigment. has been Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. I'll repeat that our Dungeons and Dragons campaign is ongoing, and streams with live chat 3 Sundays a month at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So you can adjust to your own time zone from there. I know people are watching. I think there are relatively few people actually, relative to other places, actually in the Eastern time zone. Some people like Old Braga are in Europe, and so there's quite a lot of time difference. So here it's just barely time for lunch, and there Old Braga had dinner. A very nice one. So yeah, catch our D&D campaign, please. If you like what you see, please feel free to become a follower. And if you watch on YouTube, you can become a sponsor. Sponsorships are really appreciated. That's the more we have, the better, the more people can watch. Okay? And there's always the opportunity to go to patreon.com/diceanddungeons, patreon.com/diceanddungeons, and you become a patron. And if you become a patron, you get access to the DM notes for the dungeon sessions. Those are being published periodically, starting with the very first stream session. I think it's up to like 11 or 12 now that are available to patrons. And patrons also get access to our warm-up sessions, which are improv sessions that have hardly anything at all to do with the real campaign, but get us going before each session. And those are kind of fun. Even doing them, I kind of enjoy going back and watching them and remembering how much fun it was to make them. So yeah, do that. Become a follower, subscriber, and patron, and tell everybody you know, maybe even people you don't even know but you'd like to know, maybe even people you don't like and don't want to know. Let them know about Dice and Dungeons and how cool it is and how they should check us out. That would be terrific. So let me get this other solvent out, because no matter how clean it seems when I do it in water, there's always more pigment in the brush. Too bad today. Put this little tube over it so what's left of the bristles remain on the brush. And then this one I'm going to check out again just to make sure that it's really clean. And it does look like I'm going to wrap up pretty soon. So I'll be ending about a half hour early today because, well, the situation is that I finished these imps. And there's really not enough time to start anything else other than to show off the imps, right? There's practically no room left on the workbench. Just paints come out and don't get put away, and they just pile up. So there's like 40 bottles here. That's what you should not do with your work surface, okay? If you're painting and you're using like 4 colors, all the rest of them can very safely be put away, not scattered all over the place so that there's no room to do anything. And we have, I'm going to see if I can turn it this way. There it is. Yeah, those are cool. I'm going to show you those. Alexis, our DM, made these. These are PLA. These are PLA spools. And so you can see how they fit together. There's 2 halves, which makes sense. If you're going to have halves, you should have 2 of them. And these are printed. She designed these so that the openings are just the right opening, and they're actually tilted down a little bit, okay, so that it doesn't fall out but holds in. Just the right diameter to hold these bottles. Okay? And what's supposed to happen is that those paints that you saw piled up all over the place are supposed to be nicely put in these so that one can just simply rotate them and take out what you want. And they're kind of sorted by colors. See, there's greens down there, and these are sort of yellows and oranges and metallics here. And the speed paints go up there. Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen, is these are supposed to be put away where they belong instead of scattering around all over the work surface like that. And there's another one over there. That one has bigger holes in it that hold, you can see those, that hold the bottles. And yeah, you would think that having gone through all the trouble to design that and print it and assemble it, that it would actually be used. You would think so, instead of just making a mess of all of the paints. So let me just do this. Make slurpy sounds. I did that on purpose. Yeah, so since I moved the camera around anyway, let me do it here too. I'm going to move these. These are 7 imps in the imp family. The next time you see these, it very well might be on a D&D campaign event. So there we go. There they are. And I think they came out okay, even though I did 6 of them myself. One of these is much better than the others. That's the one Nicole did. The other ones are adequate, and those are the ones I did. So there we go. And when you see them again, and maybe they'll be friends, maybe they won't, I don't know. We'll find out when we meet them. It'll look like that. It'll be like at that distance and that angle. So, there. Not too bad. Let me see if I can get this back sort of where it was. Yeah. And this is where I usually say, sometime over the weekend, I'll get down here and clean up the workbench, put the paints away, sort out the brushes, that sort of thing. I'll say that, knowing that I probably won't. Thank you for joining in, either during this stream or if you're watching this on YouTube after it's released, which will be, I don't know, not immediately, but soon. This has been Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons, which comes to you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's been a little bit less than reliable over the last month or two because of family events and travel. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday next week, that's the plan, from more or less 10 until 2. Monday, I'll be doing some minifigs that need to be primed between now and then. I'll be working on those Friday as well. And Wednesday will be Submarine Wednesday, when I go back to working on the Renwall submarine. Yeah, and I'll explain all about that. I do that, repeat the explanation of why that's happening and what it is every Wednesday, and I'll do that again. Well, thank you. And yeah, signing off a little bit early today, but it was a successful stream because I got the remaining one base coated, and I got all 3 washed and detailed, and they don't look too bad. Thank you all. Join us as often as you can. Tell everybody about us, and thanks again. See ya.